There's a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when an animal stops behaving the way it should. A hesitation, a deviation, a mutation. And inside the world of marine parks, those moments aren't rare. They're warnings. Across Aquatica and SeaWorld, trainers have reported subtle shifts for years. Dolphins refusing cues they've followed since birth. Orcas breaking formation mid-show. Animals displaying stress behaviors that don't match their training logs. These aren't random glitches. They're patterns. Behavioral mutations emerging from environments engineered for entertainment, not evolution. In this episode, we're pulling apart those patterns. The conditioning. The fractures. The moments where instinct collides with captivity and something new, something unpredictable takes shape. Because behind every polished performance, every smiling mascot, every corporate logo, there's a story the parks don't want told. This is episode 4, Behavioral Mutations. And as we step into the water, remember, every deviation has a cause, every mutation has a trigger, and every story has a breaking point. This is the Mind War Podcast. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm Badger.
I'm Master.
And we've got another cool episode. This is episode 4 in our Aquatica files. If this is your first episode picking up, jump back and watch the first 3 so that you can kind of understand where we're going. Today's episode is about behavioral mutations. When the crowd or people rewrite these rules. And Grandmaster, we've seen it. So this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, people just don't break rules. Like you said, they mutate them. They reshape the environment to fit their needs. And unfortunately, Aquatica has become a laboratory for that mutation.
Right.
I mean, we see it from the moment we walk in the doors or the gates to the moment we leave.
Because when the system stops enforcing order, humans don't revert to chaos. They just create new order, their own order. And that's where things get dangerous. Not because people are malicious, but because their new rules don't match the park's rules.
So I don't know if this is even a park rule to claim a chair or claiming an area or like a territory, shade spots, railings, pieces of concrete or areas. They're like building their little micro kingdoms within the facility, within the park.
Yep.
And then once someone claims their territory, my God, they defend it like it's crazy.
Ooh.
And that in itself. Now, I'm not saying you don't get a bunch of chairs and you sit there, but someone should sit there and maintain it.
Right.
That's what we do when we go with a group. 1 or 2 people stay there so that, no, that chair was someone, we got that, you can actually verbalize instead of coming back and go, why is my towel on the ground? Because that would be rude in itself. I think it should be handled differently. If you're going to claim some area, right, with your stuff, then you need to stay there and maintain it.
100%. We watched a family block off an entire roll of chairs with towels, flip-flops, a half-eaten pretzel. They weren't being rude. They were just adapting. They were creating a survival perimeter in an environment that felt unstable.
Well, and I think it's become such the norm.
Yeah.
That's why the staff doesn't say anything, right? It's not because they didn't care, but because they didn't want to start any confrontation. Because it's been going on for so long, the evolution of the crowd, because authority hasn't stepped in. That's where this is all coming from.
And what that brings is a rise of micro leaders. Every collapsing system creates them. These aren't official leaders, they're self-appointed. The loudest voice wins. Most confident posture wins. And Aquatica is literally full of them.
Oh yeah, well you see it all the time. I've even heard someone step forward and say, we're forming a second line right here. And then suddenly there's a second line.
Yeah.
And then of course the person at the worker there is like, no, just one line. By that time it's too damn late. And they overpowered it, and now that person's by himself or herself going, But the bad part is everybody just accepts it.
Yes.
That's the worst part about it.
Or someone decides that the tubes are first come, first served, even when the ride has a distribution center, and the crowd follows the microliter instead of the staff.
Now that's easily fixable. We watched that get fixed by a young staff member, and she was pretty hard. Nope, that's not happening. Put these down. This is where the line is. And everybody, that's what, as human beings, that's what we want.
Right.
We want authority to be authoritative. That authoritative young lady said, team member, whatever you want to call her, said, no, that's not how it works. You got to go this way, grab your thing, and go. You don't come here and just jumping over and just going underneath. So she handled the situation. But before you know it, she was gone. There was someone else new there, and the chaos continued.
Second line formed.
You know, it's because everybody thrives in the uncertainty, and then of course the vacuum just gets filled when the strong leaves and the weaker staff member approaches, or in worst case, there isn't a staff member there.
Right. So then we shift to the social norms. The most fascinating part is how fast social norms shift. What would be unacceptable at 10 a.m. becomes the normal by noon. Cutting in line, taking unattended items, ignoring staff instructions. It doesn't feel like rule breaking. It just feels like you're surviving or fitting in with the crowd.
Well, and in fitting in, as you say, and surviving, it rewrites morality. People justify anything if they believe the system has failed them or anyone else, or if they feel what they're doing is correct.
Right.
The staff doesn't care. It's not hurting anyone. These are the mantras of a collapsing environment. And unfortunately, we hear it all the time. Or you just don't hear anything.
Right. And once the mantras take hold, the park becomes a different place. It's not a theme park. It's not a family destination. It's a self-regulated ecosystem where the strongest personalities dictate the flow.
And the quiet ones, the people that just follow the rules, they get swept aside because in a mutated environment, compliance becomes a disadvantage. That's sad.
But let's go back to your forming a second line analogy. You form the second line. Well, if I'm 10 people back and there's a second line forming, and my options are be sixth in line in here or be third in line here,
I'm moving.
I'm just going to be third in line.
Correct.
Then it just becomes the way it goes.
But when does it end?
Well, it doesn't.
Right.
That's the problem. And shadow rules are the unofficial laws that emerge when the official ones stop working. And Aquatica has thousands of them.
Well, I look at it like this. If you have a chair and you leave it for more than 5 to 10 minutes and you don't have anything there with it, it's not your chair anymore.
Right.
You can't expect to come back and find that same chair there. Now, if I'm sitting there and you leave a chair and you're sitting next to me or you know, whoever, our kids, grandkids, whoever's with us, or wives, whatever, and they go get in the water, we're sitting there, no, you can't sit there, my wife. That's a different situation.
Correct.
But if all of us leave, we have no right to that chair.
Right.
And that in itself has become a major problem.
Yeah. Well, then you look at rule 2. If a drink machine works, you, as the customer, are now guiding it like a resource in a post-apocalyptic movie. Like, arms out, scan your code.
Get back!
I'm gonna have to bleep this, but step back. This is my drink. For what? What costs Aquatica 30 cents? If that.
There's the amount of drinks that are being drank there, and the cost of getting in, and the cost for food. I mean, listen. You know, and this is why what happens is, and this is rule 3, if you will, if you come to the staff member and they look overwhelmed, forget about even saying anything.
Right.
Because just follow the crowd.
Yes.
Because believe me, talking to that one poor staff member that can't take it anymore, who's probably like not even 21, is probably like, I'd rather be home.
100%.
You know, but they need a job.
I took this job because I was hoping I could hook up with a bunch of cute girls, and now I'm stuck listening to Badger upset because 12 kids just used his scan code and filled up their drink, and he's got an empty cup.
Yeah.
The rules weren't written anywhere, but everyone knew them, everyone followed them. Because shadow rules feel more real than official rules when the environment is unstable.
Because there was no signage.
Oh.
There should be some signage somewhere saying, wait your turn in line. You must have a scan on your cup. You must not, when someone's up there getting ice or scan their cup, stay back. You could almost do it like the pandemic crap. Stay behind this line until your turn.
Right.
But there's nothing like that there.
No.
And then how many people will actually follow that? But there will be a written rule there that could be enforced.
If they had a written rule,
Yeah.
it would only take about 2 days of having a line monitor, and then it's solved.
But the problem is, do you want to be the line monitor?
Hell,
Do you want to be the
heck
soda
no.
monitor?
No.
So when you went to SeaWorld, there are line monitors.
Well, what SeaWorld does different. They had a gated access. So you have to wait in line. Somebody's there checking your drinks, checking you out. When the person filling their drink leaves, then the gate opens and you can go in, and then it closes right behind you.
See, Aquatica was different. Aquatica was like SeaWorld at the beginning. You had your drink, you paid for the refills, you took it up there, you gave them the drink, they refilled you your drink, you left. Or you paid $1 with your card for every refill. I believe that's how it was. You paid and you went over. No jack off came up behind you and because you had to pay.
Right.
But because there's a sticker, all these losers are thinking, oh, it's free. It's not free. Somebody paid for that, right? So what's happening in Aquatica, it should be called Aquatica Chaos because their rules have just been scrubbed. And no one, at every fountain station, there should be some kind of situation. Well, we go now to where you don't have that problem. We had to go find places where there was order. Because out in the middle of nowhere, there's this machine, and they're just being ravaged by the heathens.
And the ones right by the restaurant, because it's always busy.
Yeah, no one
so
sees it.
staff doesn't have time to focus on the drink machine, and the crowd realized it.
And they're not focusing on paying. People walk in, take stuff, walk right out. No one says anything.
That's right.
Food, you name it. I paid $72 for 2 little kids to eat, and I watch people just walk out with food. I'm like, and no one says anything because then they start screaming at you. If you say something to them, they get loud, then chaos.
100%.
And we don't want that.
No. So episode 4 is simple. When trust collapses, behavior mutates. People don't descend into chaos. They build new structures. Structures that don't match the park's intentions.
And again, in episode 5, we're going to go just a little bit deeper because if episode 4 is about mutation, 5 is about escalation. The moment when mutated behavior stops being passive and becomes aggressive.
And what you get then is territory turning into conflict, micro leaders turning into enforcers, shadow rules turning into shadow wolves.
Oh, welcome back to the Aquatica Files. The mutation phase is over. The next phase is the escalation. I'm Grandmaster. Remember, always be kind.
I'm Badger. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Make sure that we've got time on the...
You want to give it a rest?
No, I'll keep going. Yeah, we've still got 64 minutes. So we can definitely record at least one before I need to go. I'll have time. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mind War podcast. We are now starting episode 5 in our Aquatica Files series. We hope that you've enjoyed the first 4 episodes. Today's episode is about escalation, when survival turns into conflict. I'm Badger.
I'm Grandmaster.
And we got a good one today.
All right, so let's talk about the mutation, about this conflict and the escalation. Because mutation is quiet.
Yeah.
It's subtle. It's the slow drift from order to improvisation. The escalation is loud. It's the moment the environment stops asking and starts taking.
And Aquatica hit that moment like a switch being flipped. One minute people were adapting, going about their business, doing what they needed to do. The next minute they were defending. Not their families, their advantages, their chairs, their tubes, their place in line, their tiny slice of control in a place that felt out of control.
That's the thing about unstable environments. People don't escalate because they're angry. They escalate because they're afraid. Fear disguised as frustration. Fear disguised as entitlement. Fear disguised as I was here first. All of that ties back into frustration, entitlement. It's all tied together. And unfortunately, that's all we see.
Very much so.
That's all we're seeing.
And the park became a pressure chamber. Every small conflict had a fuse attached. Every interaction had the potential to ignite. And without strong authority, the crowd became its own enforcer.
I think because territory is its first battleground, it's always like that with humanity. You know, we're territorial people, animals.
Yep.
You give us a scarce resource, shade, chairs, a tube, a life vest, and we're going to defend it like it's in a war zone.
100%.
And that's crazy because everybody does it, to some extent. They defend that like it's some kind of imbecile,
Yeah.
It's a damn water park, man. I mean,
well, when you took the boys out to the wave pool the other day, I watched a man stand guard over 4 empty chairs while his family was off in the lazy river. People came up, asked if they were taken. He didn't just say yes, he challenged them. Chest out, voice raised like he was defending a border. They're taken.
See, we don't do that.
What?
We don't do that. We always say, excuse me, yeah, no, they're taken. But we'll go, yeah, you can use this one because there's another one over here, I'll get it. There's always chairs.
But it's the challenge.
Of course.
It's, this is mine.
And I bet nobody questioned the guy, right? I wasn't there, so nobody questioned him.
Absolutely not.
It's because, I'll tell you why, because he was confident and boisterous and barking. It's an unstable environment anyway. And, and confidence really becomes the law because do you want to get kicked out over a chair?
Right.
So I'm not going to argue with you, man. Chill out, bro. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a chair. We've had plenty of people come to us and say, is that chair taken? Yeah, you can have that one because there's another one here. We'll just switch the stuff. We're accommodating and nice because I want that the same to be for me.
Right.
But it's my turn, I'm not going to turn into that animal.
No.
It's not going to happen.
But then you get the retaliation. Someone moves a towel, or they take a chair, or someone accidentally bumps
Stop for
someone
a
else.
second for a minute. Let me jump on you for a minute. Someone moves a towel.
Yep.
If there's a chair sitting there and I need to sit down because we both had major surgeries, and I just sit down, I'm gonna move your towel, dude.
Yeah.
Then when you come back, then I'll get up and leave if that's the case. But a towel's not gonna save the chair. It's not gonna happen, man. And I'll even take a chair if it's chair sitting there by itself by another towel. I'm gonna sit there. No one's around. I'm gonna sit down.
Yep.
Come ask me to leave, then I'll leave. But I'm not gonna argue with you. But I'll get up and leave. But come on now.
Yeah. Well, then you get someone accidentally bumping someone else.
Yeah.
These aren't accidents. They're probes. Testing boundaries, seeing what can I get away with.
And everything starts with glances,
Yep.
with posturing, with microaggression, and then really in quality goods, full of them. You see them all the time. You see the guys walking around with people following them, the loudest person in the group, and everybody's laughing, and there's a lot of drinking going on, a lot of alcohol. I must say that again. I'm not against alcohol. I'm all about alcohol. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a bit of that.
But it is a contributing factor that has to be recognized.
I agree.
And the real escalation happened at the tube rides.
Yeah.
Because tubes are the perfect storm. Limited supply, high demand, zero enforcement.
Well, okay, so I saw a teenager on one of these rides, right in front of us. He grabbed a tube from a family who had just set it down. They just set it down, and he grabs it. He didn't steal it, none of that. And then when the family confronted him, he didn't even back down. He doubled down because in his mind, possession was 9/10 of the law.
Yeah.
You put it down, now it's mine.
And the staff?
Didn't do a damn thing.
They didn't intervene.
But, then
They couldn't.
but on the same token, it was claimed by that family. You put it down.
Right.
Once you put it down and you release it, it's no longer yours.
That's right.
Okay? It's not yours any damn way. It belongs to the park. But if you put it down, it's the next person's turn. Why are you going over and over again? It says strictly in the lines, let other people go, then go again. You shouldn't, unless there's nobody in line, then that person usually says, you can keep going.
Right.
But when it gets crowded, they want you to give other people a shot.
And
you know?
Excuse me. So the staff didn't intervene because they couldn't. They were outnumbered, outpaced, and completely out of authority. When the system can't enforce fairness becomes optional.
Well, and optional fairness is the birthplace of conflict. Because you don't say nothing, you just stand there and look like a statue, and you allow the families to argue over something that you should have told the family. You put it down, he has it, grab another, or move on.
Yep.
End of it.
But here's where it gets interesting. In a collapsing environment, the crowd itself becomes the weapon. Not intentionally, but functionally. People use the crowd to push, to block, to pressure, to intimidate.
We watched a group of kids, youngsters, form a wall, almost like a blockade to keep people from entering a certain ride or slide, wherever they are. It was it's not official, it's not even allowed, but it was effective. They didn't need to say anything. Their bodies did the talking. People stood back and allowed them to control the situation.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, good thing we're not going on that ride.
Well, the people behind them just followed their lead.
Yeah, it did nothing. They just stood there, and I'm like,
And it's not because they agreed with building the wall. They didn't want to be the one to challenge the wall.
Well, because you're gonna just go with whatever's happening, and you just kind of like, you don't want to lean towards aggression, so you just kind of go, okay, well, just stand here and wait. Because if you go the other way, then something's going to happen. There's more of them than you, or whatever. They're louder. They're barking at the fence, so to speak. They're blocking the entrance to this ride. As soon as you try to get through it, now you're the bad guy. You're kicked out of Aquatica. And I think that's part of the problem, because the crowds amplify the behavior, good or bad.
100%.
And let me put this out there real quick too, just as a disclaimer. It isn't like going to Aquatica is a war zone. No. We're just enlightening you on things that are happening in Aquatica so that you're not shocked when you go there. You're not going, oh my God, this is happening in Aquatica. You can go, well, I saw this on the Mind War, or heard this on the Mind War podcast. This happens at Aquatica, so we need to be aware.
Right.
That's all this is for. Aquatica is a great place. I love it. It's a great place, but there's a lot of things that need to be fixed.
Yes.
Well,
the saddest part is the staff retreat. Not physically, but psychologically. You could see it in their posture. Shoulders slumped, eyes down, movements hesitant. They weren't enforcing rules anymore. They were surviving the shift, and that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
They don't address the customers. They eyes down. If I don't look at them, they won't ask me a question. They won't have a complaint. I won't have to deal with the issue. So,
well, that's natural order, though, if you think about it.
Yes, it is.
So, if authority is like a vacuum, right? It's in a vacuum. If the authority steps back, the unofficial authority steps forward. And that's where the issues kind of lie, is that no one's taking control. And I don't think they know how. That's the problem.
Right. And that's when escalation becomes normalized. It's not a spike. It's not an incident. It becomes the new baseline.
Well, a baseline built on tension instead of trust.
Right.
And I don't even know if trust is the right word. We're using it a lot. But you should trust that you're going to go to this water park and have a good time without incident.
Right.
That's what we were meaning by trust and faith, people. Because we said faith a couple of times in the other 1 through 5 podcasts. We were talking about faith, or 4, and we're not talking about religious faith. We're talking about the faith in thinking that I'm going to go there and have a good time without incident.
Right.
That's what we're talking about when we're talking about faith. So, and again, I'm going to reiterate, I can't say it enough, SeaWorld and Aquatica are together, right?
Yeah, they're sister companies.
Right. And they're so different in the way the staff is running things there.
Yes.
And that could, if you're listening out there and you work at any of these parks, take that to heart. SeaWorld has ran a heck of a lot better customer service-wise than Aquatica, and I can understand a little bit. Aquatica can get out of control a little bit because it's water, people swimming, all that. So, but there's got to be a way for you to control it better.
So let me give you a good comparison as to how I feel. Since I just recently went to SeaWorld and we've been to Aquatica, the easiest way for me to compare it is SeaWorld's the JW Marriott in downtown Orlando. It's got a lazy river, it's got staff that's off the chain. Rooms are to die for. Aquatica is like
The old Wet n Wilds.
well, it's more like just a regular Marriott. Still a really nice room, but it's not the JW.
No amenities, no continental breakfast, no nothing.
No staff that goes out of their way to make sure you don't need anything.
Yeah.
No cordoned off drink areas. No separate entrances for handicap access to make sure that when you go to the show, you've got a seat that you can see. No people that are not handicapped sitting in handicapped sections.
You see it all the time in Aquatica.
All
the time.
So, episode 5 is simple. Escalation is not chaos, it's structure. A new structure built by fear, pressure, and opportunity. And once it takes hold, it becomes the dominant force in the environment.
And once again in episode 6, we're just going to go just a little bit more past escalation and go to the breaking point. The moment when the environment stops bending and finally snaps.
When conflict stops being interpersonal and becomes systemic. When the park stops functioning as a park and starts functioning as a battle.
Okay, welcome back to the Aquatica Files. The escalation phase is complete. Now comes the fracture. I'm Grandmaster. Remember, always be kind.
And I'm Badger. Next episode, episode 6, is the final episode in this series. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching the first 5. Don't miss the next one.